Yo, what's good people? Welcome back to the series where I test and review the new champions coming out in MCOC, and I answer the question, will they be good for Battlegrounds? And holy, they did not hold back on Spiderwoman whatsoever. She is not just one of the best champions to be released this year. In my opinion, she's one of the best champions to ever be released. Her utility is genuinely off the charts, and she's got the damage to back it up. You're gonna see her do some really crazy stuff in this video, like being a science champion that can counter Bullseye. She counters Serpent, she can bypass his death immunity, she counters Onslaught. Bro, she counters 99% of the defenders in the game. You might have seen in the deep dive, she does rely on those debuffs, those power sting debuffs to get a lot of her damage, but she still hits insanely hard on her basic attacks because of those fury she gains. So she's even great against shrug off champions, which is ridiculous. But of course, she's marketed as a hard Enchantress counter, and she is indeed one of the very best counters to Enchantress out there. She has easy access to those debilitate debuffs, and each one of those debilitates are going to ignore one of Enchantress's spells. You can stack these up to 6, so you can ignore up to 6 of Enchantress's spells. There is one thing you do need to watch out for in this fight though. Spider-Woman does not bypass miss, so there's still a small chance this fight can go wrong. She does have a safety net, however, you're about to see here. When she does miss, she will gain a 100% chance to evade for 2 seconds, but then that evade goes on cooldown. I miss against Enchantress twice more, and I get hit in the face as a result of that. So keep this in mind, she is probably the best Enchantress counter, and you can ignore the intercept and knockdown spell because the debilitates will ignore them for you, but you can't ignore the heavy spell because the debilitates does not counter miss. So if you don't remove that, you're just going to not be able to hit Enchantress and you're going to have a bad time. So make sure you're still removing the heavy spell against her. Now we're going to be fighting Serpent, and she is a great counter. She can bypass his death immunity. It's not guaranteed because Serpent is stupid and has 125% ability accuracy, but basically the way this works is she can shut off the death immunity thanks to the ensnare debuff she has. The ensnare debuff reduces the opponent's ability accuracy by 100%. This means their abilities are 100% less likely to activate. Death immunity is an ability. There you go, death immunity shut off. You don't really have to do anything special, you just have to make sure your ensnare is active on Serpent when you deal the finishing blow. Keep in mind though, thanks to that stupid 125% chance that Serpent has to activate the death immunity, there's still a 25% chance he will activate it. But most of the time, she is a fantastic counter, and she actually removes Serpent's True Strike off her special too. You know what that means? We are freely able to dex Serpent specials. That's obviously very nice for avoiding the big block damage, especially off the special 2. That's a crazy piece of utility right there. We're fighting this Onslaught. She's a great counter to him as well. You'll see we nuke this fight very fast. You'll notice Jessica / Spider-Woman. I'm just going to call her Jessica because it's shorter. She's unduped here. I want to make this perfectly clear right now. Her SIG ability is very nice. The higher the SIG, the better a champion she is. But she's still completely worth ranking unduped. If I pulled her, I would take her to rank 3 straight away, duped or not. But her SIG ability is very nice. Let me explain what it does. So it will grant you a extra fury buff whenever you intercept, which is obviously very nice. That's more damage. That's a quicker ramp up. But the most important part is when one of your fury buffs naturally expire or gets nullified, you will gain a matching passive fury. So even if mystic champions are nullifying your fury buffs, you can still use her against them as long as you're duped or at max sig, because you'll just gain a matching passive fury. And if your fury buffs fall off as well, because the way you play Spider-Woman is you need to either dex the opponent's special attack or use your special 2 to refresh your fury buffs. When she's duped though, you don't have to worry about that at all. Once those fury buffs expire, they're just going to turn into passive furies. there's one more bullet point in her Sig ability. Basically, she will auto evade the last hit of any special attack as long as she's not blocking. That's a really nice safety net right there. I really like how her Sig ability is designed because she's still a great champion unduped, but the higher the Sig you get her, the easier and more reliable she is to play. And once she's at max Sig, she's going to be very reliable against any Mystic champions that nullify your Fury buffs. But now we have a crazy matchup, bro. Name another Science champion that's actually a great counter to Bullseye. Photon is probably the best option in the Science class for Bullseye right now, and she does not do this fight nearly as well as Spiderwoman does. The reason she can do this fight is again thanks to that ensnare debuff, reducing Bullseye's ability accuracy by 100%, so he's not going to be doing any bleed damage to us on his special attacks. You do ideally want to bait out his special 2 in this fight, but if you can dex his special 1, then bait his special 1 as well. Just if you can't dex the special 1, you're probably going to take quite a bit of block damage. That ensnare also completely bypasses evade as well, so we don't need to worry about Bullseye evading us at all. Yeah, it's crazy that Spiderwoman can do this matchup. You can't go for your special 1 because Bullseye is basically immune to Power Sting once he's at max Sig. So you basically just have to rely on your basic attacks and special 2 to deal your damage, but she still does very decent damage. It's not the fastest fight out there, but just the fact there's a Science champion that can finish Bullseye in a respectable time and high health is crazy. It's just crazy. And now we're fighting this Kindred, and again thanks to that ensnare debuff reducing his ability accuracy, she is a crazy counter to him. Completely turns off his root mechanic at the end of the match, so you're not going to be taking any degen damage against Kindred. Now he's a joke against Spiderwoman. Every time those power stings detonate off the special 1, it's so much overkill, man. It's kind of funny. The way they want you to play Spiderwoman is they want you to go for your special 2, then your special 1 to finish your opponent off. But her basic attacks and special 2 does so much damage on their own. By the time you get to your special 1, your opponent's nearly dead, and the power sting is so much overkill. Every single defender I fought in this video has the same amount of health as if they were a rank 3 defender placed on Battlegrounds defense, but I guarantee you that even if these defenders had the same amount of health as if they were a rank 4, all of these fights would be exactly the same speed, just because there's so much overkill on that special 1. But listen to this, right? They didn't just make her damage OP. They didn't just give her some of the craziest, stupidest utility in the game. Nah. She has safety nets on top of that. She really didn't need safety nets. She's already too strong, man. Honestly, I would not be surprised if she got nerfed whatsoever. She is kind of broken. But for each debuff on the opponent, she has a 2% chance to evade. So if you get hit in the face, decent chance you're going to evade out of it. On top of that, if your opponent misses you or they go unstoppable, you also gain a 100% chance to evade for 2 seconds. That does go on cooldown for about 10 seconds afterwards though. She's a great counter to Sentinel. This fight actually takes 2 SB1s. Gasp, something actually survives the special 1. It's about time. But yeah, her basic attacks ain't doing much damage against Sentinel here because of all his resistances. So you gotta rely mainly on the power sting damage here. It only takes 2 special 1s instead of 1 special 1 after the special 2 though. Oh, she's immune to neutralize as well, by the way. Just because, like, why not, right? So yeah, she's a hard counter to Rintra. Rintra is never going to gain any of those charges, so you never have to knock him down because he's never placing that neutralize on you. And she has more than enough damage to deal with Rintra's tankiness. Honestly, Rintra's no tank. When Spiderwoman comes around, man, this champion is so good. She might be one of the best champions in the game. Maybe I'm overhyping her a little, but I think she's crazy. I need to get her. If I see her in Battlegrounds, bro, duped or unduped, she's getting banned until I have one myself. And when I do get one, she's a very strong rank 4 candidate. Now we have another crazy matchup. There's basically no science champions that can do Mantis, because what do science champions rely on? Their debuffs. What does Mantis stop? Your debuffs. So most science champions outright can't do this fight. But again, Jessica doesn't care about none of that, and she's doing big damage through her combos. Thanks to all of those furies she gains, she's still hitting pretty damn hard, and she can still nuke skill champions that shrug off your debuffs just fine. She obviously isn't going to be the fastest nuke in these matchups, but she's still much better than she has any right to be. There are a couple things to keep in mind though. Because she has all of these fury buffs, there are a few mystic champions you really don't want to use her against. Now in general, you can keep her fury buffs going the entire match as long as you're playing her properly. They're never going to expire and feed mystic dispersion, but if they do expire, then you're going to inflict a 50% wither on the opponent, which will stop half of the power gain, and you're going to gain that power gain which you stopped them from gaining. So it's kind of a good thing if you let your buffs expire. To be honest, it will let you ramp up even faster. You do not want to use her against Destroyer though. If you use her against Destroyer, he's going to gain his charges extremely fast, and he's going to shoot to a special 3. Special 3 your ass, you're going to get degen to death. I do think she'll be fine versus Mojo. I actually haven't tested that matchup, but her fury buff duration cannot be reduced, and as long as you're playing her properly, they're never going to expire. So you shouldn't take degen damage in that matchup as long as you're playing it right. Now we're moving on to the last segment of the video though. Is she good on defense? And believe it or not, man, on top of being one of the most insane attackers we've seen in a very long time, yeah, she's pretty damn annoying on defense as well. She has a 2% chance to evade you for every debuff you have on yourself. On top of that, she places that ensnare debuff and a fumble debuff on you every 15 seconds. Now you can't dex her when you have this fumble debuff on you, so that's really annoying. You really don't want her using a special 1, because you're going to take a bunch of block damage or you're going to get hit in the face. But you can remove this fumble debuff by using your special attack, as I'm showing right here. So just watch below Spiderwoman's health bar. When that timer is about to run out, that's when you want to use your special 1 to remove the fumble debuff. But she also places that ensnare debuff on you, which reduces your ability accuracy. You can see there I didn't get my stun. That's also very annoying. Yeah, I think she's going to be a solid defender. She's by no means the scariest defender in the game, not by a long shot, but I think she's going to catch a lot of people on defense. But to be honest, bro, why would you ever put her on defense? She's too good on attack. That is going to be the end of the video though, fellas. Spider-Woman is pretty goddamn insane. Hopefully I can get my hands on one soon. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, help your boy out, leave a like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Appreciate all of you watching. See you all in the next video.